So, Marcus, right? You guys get the internet up here?
Limited, but yes.
Good. I was thinking about, doing some review videos.
Do whatever you want, just don't leave this room. Prince Cassis will be alone soon.
Hey, do you guys have Patreon? Because I have a Patreon. Shut up! You and the rest of you, get the fuck to the other side of the room. Oh, did anyone bring a camera?
Crying, you're so scared and all alone. Hangman is coming down from the gallows and I don't have very long.
Hiya! Penguin Truth here, and it's time for another episode of Otaku Evolution. This time we'll be looking at a 12-episode TV series from 2006, Coyote Ragtime Show. It's a bit like Lupin in space. Or like Cowboy Bebop. Except, not nearly as great. But it's pretty decent, I guess. Many a sci-fi space action show fall into the deep shadow of Cowboy Bebop. Even Outlaw Star barely crawls from it, because Bebop has a richer thematic and emotional resonance. So I'm trying really hard not to compare Coyote Ragtime Show to the greats, and just have fun talking about an interesting but somewhat inconsequential show. The frustration that it could be more does linger, but I don't want to accentuate the negative because on its own, it's pretty enjoyable. So let's take it on its own merits.
In the year...
I don't know, but there's a whole lot of space colonization, and I'm not even sure where these planets are because nobody mentions Earth. Let's just say it's the future and man has taken to the stars and found them too hot to live on, so they settled for planets that all have pretty comfortable environments. Well, comfortable is kind of a relative term. Imprisoned for a litany of crimes, the archcriminal known as Mr. I'm serious, his name is Mr. makes a death and logic-defying escape even as he's pursued by investigator Angelica Burns and the robotic operatives of a crime lord, Marciano. He stages the climax of Nausicaa of the Valley of Wind and eludes his his enemies, returning to the bar he previously opened and the little girl who runs it. Well, that's just silly. Obviously a bar should be run by adults. Or penguins. Preferably adult penguins. But apparently people respect her because little Franca here is the daughter of the legendary space pirate Bruce. Bruce? Bruce. Mr. has been taking care of Franca since her father's death, and treats her much like a daughter. But Franca is always a bit hesitant. She believes that while he's been very kind to her, it may just be because of his desire to pursue Bruce's hidden loot. But Mr. shows time and time again his willingness to put himself in great danger for Franca's sake.
Coyotes don't run in packs, but I'll tell you this! We don't betray our families, even if it ends up killing us!
It is true, however, that Bruce left a secret treasure. You see, there once was a man named Bruce, who was king of the space pirates. He had fame, power, and wealth beyond your wildest dreams. Before they hung him from the gallows, these were the final words he said.
My fortune is yours for the taking, but you'll have to find it first. I left everything I own in gigabanks. Ever since, space pirates from all around the galaxy rocket off for the planet Graceland, searching for gigabanks, the treasure that would make their dreams come true. Yo! Ya-yo, ya-yo! Dreamin', don't give it up, Mr. Dreamin', don't give it up, Franca dreamin', don't give it up, Bishop! Give it up, give it up, give it up, give it up. Sorry about that. Also, Bruce was actually killed by Marciano.
How did that happen?
Yo ho ho, she shot him in the lung.
But you have to admire this about the bitch, she has her own boss organ-based theme. I haven't heard one of those since Kagito, though he gets bonus points for actually playing the organ. But some people learn the organ while others construct robot children. We all have hobbies, I guess.
I haven't seen you since that day. You look well, and that's what's most important. I have some business to attend to with your guardian. Where is he?
I kind of like that Marciano has a cadre of killer gothic lolitas, named after months of the year, armed to the teeth and at her beck and call. They were apparently built by this scientist guy that works for Marciano, and whose relationship with her is incredibly unclear. But both Marciano and the scientist treat the girls as people, and seem to truly care for them. And it's reciprocated.
Pardon me, Master Nielsen?
What is it, my dear?
The clothes that you and Mother got for me got ruined in our last battle.
I'm sorry, sir. Mine were too.
Oh, is that all? It's no trouble. It just means I'll have the pleasure of giving you gifts again.
After getting decapitated in the first episode, the initially cruel May is not quite out of the picture, as her head, still functioning, is taken by Angelica to help track down Mr. Over time, they seem to form a rapport of sorts. May is snarky in trying to lead Angelica to bringing her back to Mama for a new body, but she seems to change from how she was first presented. I really like this plot point and where it went, but I thought it could have been even better if she had more time to flesh out. Likewise with the rest of the 12 sisters. We barely get to see our heroes fight them. It's usually so one-sided for one or the other. It's only in the finale that we get a real fight, but it's too brief for my tastes. It's a shame. I would have liked to have seen May presented with a direct choice between protecting Marciano or her new friends in Angelica and Ditzy Chelsea. I think what I'm trying to say is they probably could have excised other elements or perhaps even extended the series from 12 episodes to 26. Or at least 20. Also, unrelated, but you notice how Franca's pendant, the one with the information on how Bruce got his great treasure, looks a little familiar? No? Well, what if it was a different color?
They're finished.
Wow. Thank you so much, sir.
Be so kind as to pay me.
Don't you do business here, you quack!
The funky preacher's name is Swamp Gordon, who was once Bruce's right-hand man and close friend. He's hesitant to join the gang in retrieving Bruce's treasure at first, over his bitterness that Bruce entrusted Mr. with the pendant in Franca, and not him. He's basically been sitting tight, leading his congregation until the next job comes up. He's like an out-of-shape Nicholas D. Wolfwood. His style clashes a bit with Mr.'s group, but he's fond of Franca, so he stays around, even if he gets into fights with Bishop. Bishop is, I guess the strategist of the team? He's also good at undercover work, and while his sense of direction's not great, he makes up for it with his ability to improvise. He gets into a lot of arguments easily, being somewhat sensitive, and I would have enjoyed seeing him be more of the face or conman type in the crew, rather than his nebulous position. Katana is the pilot of Mr. Ship and the engineer. He loves to fly recklessly, and his casual attitude can get on his partner's nerves. He's basically the master of trade's workhorse of the team, doing a lot of the grunt work with a smile on his face. He's not bad in a fight either, but I would have liked to have seen him in more combat. Mr.'s crew are a bit bland, to be honest, not having nearly as much of the charming, jovial, but honorable qualities their boss has. Mr. really knows how to light up a scene just with his presence, a man who can grin and bear it, who can get rough, and even be tender. His relationship with Franca is probably the best thing about this series. Another important element is Mr.'s relationship with Angelica. At first she seems like the Inspector Zenigata to his Lupin III, but Zenigata doesn't have a secret crush on him. That we know of, anyway. Denying it all the while, Angelica pursues Mr. with dogged tenacity, but always ends up letting him do what he wants instead of capturing him when they encounter each other. For his part, Mr. certainly doesn't want to deal with her in the middle of a job, but they do have a certain chemistry when the mood is just right.
You still haven't said why you're staying.
Because I still have family on this planet, Angelica. And you already know that coyotes don't betray their families, even if it kills them.
Mister,
I'm not much of a romantic, you know.
It's weird how they first met, though. Apparently Angelica was directing traffic, and Mr.'s caper involved, making an enormous tsunami that wipes out a city. Did he just murder hundreds of people? Yikes.
Okay, I have to destroy Copenhagen with a tidal wave, and the theme is the Roaring Twenties. That's a challenge.
Roaring Twenty tidal waving!
You know, for as cool as Mr. is, it's possible that Bruce was even cooler, because his big score, which both Mr. and Marciano are after, is very impressive. He went undercover working at a large important bank, really digging in his heels for months. Got the lay of the land, moved up in position of authority and access, positioned Swamp on the security staff, and pulled off a colossal act of thievery that would make my favorite sideburn swindler nod in respect. It's especially impressive when you see that the safe of Gigabanks is this veritable puzzle box. Now, if only we would have gotten some straight answers about how Marciano managed to get close enough to kill him. There are some hints, though, and maybe that's all we really need to know. I should mention that the planet that Bruce hid his treasure on is in a very bad political situation. And by bad, I mean the, galactic government wants to blow it up for its rebellion. But why waste money building a Death Star when you could just drop a big bomb on it? It ends up being a little more intricate than that, even, and adds an additional sense of urgency and danger to the mission of Mr. and his group. The show's soundtrack is pretty excellent, It has a bit of a jazzy flair most of the time, but with some modern rockish or electronic sensibilities mixed into the tracks. The opening and ending songs are pretty standard fare, but the background music can really make a scene pop. But like with several of the other elements, it pales in comparison to Bebop's. I know, I've tried really hard not to compare. But let's face it, this show invites comparison. Mr. is at once Spike Spiegel and Jet Black. Honestly, the show isn't good enough for him. It's not often that I champion having more episodes to an anime, rather than less. Many titles have a good premise and decent characters, but outstays its welcome. But more episodes of Coyote Ragtime Show could only help flesh it out a bit more. I'm not asking for huge info dump exposition, just a bit more world building and characterization. This show is 12 episodes long, and by the 12 episode mark of Bebop, we already knew most of what we needed to know about the crew, but were teased for more. There's a difference between leaving them wanting more and leaving them needing more. And that's this show in spades. The relationships between Mr. and Franca, or Mr. and Angelica, or the interactions between May and Angelica and Chelsea, are well worth the ticket price for this ride. If you ask me straight on if I like the show, I would say, yeah, sure, it's pretty cool. But it's no Outlaw Star. Anyway, that's enough Otaku Evolution for now. I guess our host has arrived. Hopefully I'll be able to knock out another video soon. Until then, see ya!
Tonight, I'm gonna have myself a real good time. I feel alive.
Cassis, what are you up to now, you smarmy bastard?
Watch your mouth.
It's okay, Golex. Our visitors have every right to be skeptical, if not hostile, to our intentions. Our actions in the past have been less than charitable.
To say the fucking least. Before I'm willing to talk to you, you'll have to contribute to my pay... Pen? I'm 34. I am an adult. Yeah, fuck. Tell me I'm not an adult.
You don't say.